Alright, so now what I'm doing, remember, is I try to satisfy your demand or need to put a camera on to record about satisficing. To satisfice, as one of you correctly found, means minimum satisfactory condition or outcome. So, first of all, it is satisfactory. Second of all, it's minimal. Now, let's explain this for you to understand. Now, let me give you an example. You're really thirsty for a coffee, you're in the mall, you're in a good environment, you're having good money, and now you got two different coffee shops. One coffee shop says the price is 9.5 AED, and the other one says AED 9.0. And you're in the mall, whatever the circumstances are. Does the price really matter that much to you? Given that there is only half dirham difference. Does it matter? No, that's the short answer. And it's actually true for 99.9% of the people. It doesn't really matter. What matters is, do you like the environment? Is it more quiet if you want the quiet? Is the music nice? Is it very crowded? In other words, you will judge as a consumer based on a number of other factors, but certainly not on the price. Now I got two completely different coffee shops, and here is a secondary factor. You want to meet your friends at the coffee shop, and one coffee shop always has a lot of parking space, and the other one there's always a shortage of parking space. And then you say, well, let's meet here just because it's easier to park, and over there is going to be more of a headache. Again, the price of 9.5 or 9 doesn't matter. It's other things, other factors that matter more. Now, coming back to your course here, and I'm getting slowly to the satisficing strategies, that you have only two: pass and fail. The pass is 60 plus, the fail is less than 60. Now, question, does it matter if you complete the course with 99 or with 97?
No.
No, it doesn't matter. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter, actually, if your salary is 99,000 a month or 97. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. 99 or 97, salaries big, salaries huge. You're making a ton of money. It does not matter whether you're making 95 or 97, or whether you're making 97 or 99. It's still gonna buy you a decent brand new Mercedes anyway. Okay?
It matters.
No, that's the short answer. It doesn't. Okay? Just like with the coffee, 9 or 9.5 doesn't matter. The salary, you're making tons of money. It's not going to make a difference about the house that you buy. Is it true? Certainly not. I mean, you're still going to buy the same house whether you're earning 97 or 99. Again, you're still going to buy the same car. Will it change the food that you eat?
No.
Certainly not. Will it change the phone that you buy? Certainly. Will it change your clothes? No. So, when you start thinking, what's the difference between 97 and 99? Again, in terms of what you will actually do. Will it change your decision to study or not study? No. So, out of 1,000 decisions, 999 will not be changed. It won't change what time you wake up. It won't change which restaurant you eat, or when you eat, or where you eat, what kind of food you eat. It won't change the books that you buy, it won't change the cars, the phones, it won't change almost anything in your life. So, from this perspective, it does not make a difference. It makes a difference only in your mind, but in your day-to-day life, it doesn't make any difference at all. Same thing here, 95 or 97, you pass. Well, 97 or 99 is your salary. You're making big salary. You're making, in terms of a salary, good money. It doesn't matter, okay? Just like, let's try the other question. Let's take those poor Indians who work for a salary 1,300, which is like cheap. They're cheap, right? Well, a lot of them work for that kind of money. And big boss says, I'll raise your salary to 1,350. Does it matter?
Yes, for them,
yes. Yes, but it's not going to change anything. It doesn't. It matters, again, only up here. It doesn't really. It's not going to buy him a car. It's not going to buy him a phone. It's not going to do anything to change his life. It may, at best, buy him one shirt. That's it. Nothing more. Okay? Or, at worst, he's just going to eat one time McDonald's in the mall and the 50 is gone. Okay? In other words, from 13 to 1350, his life is not going to change much in any way. He's still going to be drinking the same coffee or tea or Coke, or if he's smoking the same cigarettes, or if he's eating rice, he's going to still keep. So again, these things don't change. It doesn't matter. Now, coming back to the cars. There are some new cars for about 60,000, which is like Honda, I don't know, City. Do you know these cars?
Yes.
And you can actually get a decent 3 Series, nice BMW, 400,000. Okay. Well, is there a big difference between these two?
Yes.
The short answer is yes, of course. This is a small little crappy car. This is a nice, high quality, luxury, performance car. Okay? They call it executive car. Okay? So the difference between 60,000 and 100,000 is huge in terms of quality. Okay? Now, similarly, for your exam, it makes a huge difference if you take and pass the course with 60 or with 95. A 95 is a top, excellent, outstanding student, and a student with 60 is a student who just barely passed and who just survived. Okay? So what's a good strategy to move on in this course? Well, and what is a satisficing strategy? Satisficing strategies, you just shoot for 80. You do 80, you're fine, you move on. Doesn't matter if you had 82 or 85 or 78, it's all the same thing. Or you shoot simply for 85. You take 85, you're happy, move on, forget about it, okay? You take 83, it's the same thing. You take 90, nothing changed. Whether it took 80 or 90, nothing changed. You're still passing, it doesn't matter. What matters is you learned. What matters is you understood the subject. What matters most is you move on, you make a progress. What matters at the end of the day for most of you is number one, you actually get the MBA degree. What matters is that you get after that some sort of what's called a promotion. Now, the promotion may be only 1,000 or 2,000 dirham, which doesn't look like a lot, but over 30 years, 2,000 begins to add up. 2,000 is 20,000 a year. and over 20 or 30 years, it's worth easily $500,000. Now, and it is just two. An MBA with a promotion is probably going to give a difference of, in 1 month of how much? About the guy on the back. What's going to be the difference when you get the MBA and eventually within 3, 6, 9 months you get a promotion? What's going to be the difference in terms of a salary? About 4? 3 to 4. Yes, my intelligent guess is that if you actually get the MBA, if you actually get a promotion, your salary will be affected 3,000 to 4,000 a month. Now that's a big difference. Why? Because suddenly it's 30 to 40,000 a year. And if you have a 25-year span expected time to work and benefit the extra, or 20 years, that's easily going to translate into 1 million. Well, 1 million is good money. 1 million is makes, in the long term, 1 million makes a difference. Okay? 1 million makes a decent difference. So, again, in the big picture, the 97 or 99 score doesn't matter. 80 or 82 score doesn't matter. Even 60 and 62 doesn't matter. Means you passed, okay? Same thing, 40, 42, it doesn't matter. You still fail, okay? 8 or 9 doesn't matter, again. You still fail. Now, back to satisficing as a business strategy. As a business strategy, a lot of businesses do satisficing. Why? Because the satisficing strategy has a benefit. It's cheap. Doing things perfectly is extremely costly. You can study for 2 hours and earn 90 points. Then you need to study for another 5 hours to get 95. And then you need to study for another 8 or 10 hours to get to 99, your score. Okay? In other words, we have, let's explain, this is elementary microeconomics, which I was about to explain later, is you have rising costs, and costs accelerate, okay? So at one point, it will take more and more time to get 2 extra points. And it's just not worth it. Now, here is, again, coming back to the satisficing. Let's try the following. You're taking 4 courses, okay? 3 courses you're doing 99, 99, 95, and 20. Is this a better strategy than 90, 90, 90, 90? Which one is a better strategy? Of course, the second one. But now you got 30 here. Which one is a better strategy? Again, this one. Well, let's move it. 40. Which one is the better strategy? The right one. Okay, well, let's make it better. 100, 100, 100, 40. The right one is better. Now, you move to 50, and still the right one is better. You see, you can change a lot of this, and it doesn't matter. Now, I raise this from 90 to 100, and it still doesn't matter. I raise this from 95 to 100, and it still doesn't matter. It doesn't change. You can raise all of these a lot, and it doesn't matter, because the strategy is not balanced. This is a balanced strategy, meaning you pass all of them, you move on. So, instead of trying and struggling to get 95 or 99 or 100, which we call perfect and perfection, you just shoot for 85, you move on, you focus on the more important stuff like the accounting, which is a lot harder, where your time will be better served, okay? And again, back to satisficing business strategy means the following. You make a product, and let me write it in good English, which is just good enough. You don't need the perfect product. It's just good enough. You don't need the perfect service. The service is just good enough. What is being good enough? The product on a 1 to 10 scale will be only 8. That's good enough. The service is not perfect. It's not 10 out of 10. It's 8 out of 10. But that's good enough, okay? What else you have? The environment is not perfect, but it's good enough. 8 out of 10, okay? So, what is good about this strategy? This strategy is you focus on your weaknesses, like the one over here. You don't waste time here. You don't waste effort here. You don't waste cost here. You don't waste money here. You focus on your weaknesses. You improve your weakness, and you're moving along. Same thing is with business, satisficing. You're trying to make a forecast of your product. That's coming up next probably. And you forecast that it's going to be, let's say, 90. If you're selling motorcycles, 90 motorcycles. If you're a big car dealership like a Lexus Toyota dealership, 90 cars per month. That's realistic to sell 2 or 3 cars a day. Now, does it matter if it's 92 or 88? The short answer is it does not make any business difference. It matters if it's 110 and you made a big mistake. It matters if in reality it's only 70 and you made a big mistake. In other words, small mistakes don't make a difference. You know, misjudging about 2 or 3 cars doesn't make a difference. Misjudging about 2 or 3 customers doesn't make a difference. Now, misjudging 20% makes a big difference. Misjudging 20% makes a big difference. So, you just shoot to be good enough. You just shoot to be close enough. You just shoot to be, again, let's try. Somebody is, let's say a guy, 120 kilograms. He makes exercise and big effort, and now he's lost a kilogram. Does it make a big difference? No, not at all. It doesn't make a big difference either. Well, how about me? I'm barely 59. And I'm exercising damn hard. And wow, I improved down to or up to 60. Does it make a difference? No, not much, not really. Again, the 1 point, the 1 kilogram, the 50 dirham salary here, the 2,000 improvement, these things don't really matter at the end of the day. Now, coming back to our MBA, the 2 or 3 points don't matter. What matters is not even the graduation. What truly matters down the road is the promotion. So, stay focused on the big picture. Stay focused on what's called the strategy. Stay focused on the long term. Don't worry too much about the half a point here, 1 point there. Well, did you learn? Did you understand? Right now, the big thing is the satisficing strategy. When you're doing MBA survival depends on proper satisficing. This means if you can't handle the 90s, you go down to 85. You move on, you learn all subjects, you understand what's going on, you keep moving, okay? Satisficing doesn't mean you have to have 100% attendance. If you make it 90, that's good enough. If you make your attendance 50%, not good. Same thing. You have, let's say, I'm making it up, but it's close to true. You have 4 quizzes, midterm, and a final. You miss a quiz, doesn't matter. You fail a quiz, doesn't matter. Why? Because the quiz is 100. So out of 100, you're down to 90. Again, you're doing well, you're going to finish with 80 or 85. Doesn't matter. Okay? What matters is the big picture. If you do well on the final, if you do well on the midterm, you're going to be okay. You pass, you move on, you learn, you're understood. So, satisficing in general turns out to be a good business strategy. Satisficing is, in general, a good strategy in life. If you're exercising in a month, whether you exercise 20 or 22 times makes no difference, right? I mean, whether you exercise 4 or 5 times, it doesn't matter. Whether you're exercising 0 or 1 time doesn't matter either. Meaning, here, you're exercising good enough. You're doing good. Here, you're not exercising. Even if you exercise 2 times a month, it's still nothing. It still doesn't count. It starts counting when you do 5, 8, 10 times a month. Then it's good. You do 20, it's excellent. You do 30, it's perfect. But 1, 2, 3 doesn't make a difference. 20, 22 doesn't make a difference. 10 to 12 doesn't make a difference. Now, from 2 to 12 makes a huge difference. From 12 to 22 makes a huge difference. In other words, I keep repeating the same thing, is you need to focus on things that make a difference, okay? That changes things in a meaningful way. 1 kilogram for me or you, it doesn't make a difference, okay? Just like the half of dirham for coffee doesn't make a difference, okay? So these are important things, especially if you try to do business. Example, application. You have employees and you have your employees to work 10 hours. Now, you can watch every employee to work exactly 10 hours. But it doesn't matter if they actually work 9.5 or 9.25. In other words, if an employee worked 9 hours and 15 minutes or 9 hours and a half, this is good enough. Okay? Whether they work an extra 15 minutes is not going to change the profitability of your business. It's not going to change the profits. It's not going to change the cost. It isn't going to change much. Yeah, maybe your profit in 1 month, if it's a business, instead of 6,700, is going to be 6,800. Big deal. It doesn't make a difference much. And 100 dirham doesn't make a difference for a small business, okay? It doesn't change anything. So focus on what's the big picture. That's on satisficing, and you should be studying satisficing strategies. Now, here in the next chapter, you have what's called a satisficing forecast. And a satisficing forecast, I will explain, is a forecast which is just good enough. You don't need it perfect. It's not necessary. As long as you're close enough, as long as you're good enough, that's good enough, okay? You don't need it perfect. And even if you have it perfect, it doesn't change anything. All right, so that's on satisficing. Now, when I am grading your exams, I'm using satisficing strategy.
We were just saying the same.
Right. Again, I'm using the same. Is it good enough? Yeah, you're passing, move on. Oh, not good enough? Okay, well, we gotta, first low score, and then we gotta see what happened, and we gotta see if you improve and how you improve. All right, now we have today 2 very short, very easy sections. And let me write them out. Chapter 5 is demand estimation. You basically try to estimate demand. And chapter 6 is demand forecasting. There are 2 types of approaches in both of them. One is called qualitative. Qualitative. And the other one is quantitative. The quantitative approach focuses on not only numbers but statistical / numerical techniques. The qualitative tries a little bit more with words, explanations, questions, other. The qualitative are usually fall under a huge category of within the field of marketing. So, I'll be preparing you within these two. I'll be covering only the qualitative part of demand estimation and qualitative demand forecasting, and we'll be using marketing techniques. Now, in general, microeconomics, the one that we use, will give you important foundation in accounting, especially cost accounting, and that's what I'll be doing over the next 2 weeks, okay? Gives you a little bit of foundation for general management. It gives you a little bit of foundation for marketing, okay? So this is the marketing foundation of business. So let's see questions, demand estimation questions, and I'll get to a number of techniques. So I'm moving on to 5.2, which is exactly what it is. Marketing research approaches. I'll try and get them with numbers, because later on the quiz will be explain 3 marketing research approaches to demand estimation. Number 1, consumer surveys. Consumer survey is very simple and very easy. You ask consumers questions. Do you want a big car or a small car? Okay. Do you like rice or wheat? Do you prefer Coke or Pepsi? Do you prefer milk or juice? Do you prefer standard yogurt or sweetened yogurt? Okay. So, it simply asks questions. Well, some problems with it. When you ask, sometimes people simply don't know. Don't know. Example, myself. For a long time, I wondered if I will get a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air or the new latest MacBook, the super thin, super slick 12-inch, okay? Again, because I never used the one, never used the other. Before, I had for 6 years MacBook Pro, okay? But I just don't know how is the new one. The new one has only one port for power, for USB, for everything, okay? And I'm not sure. Again, it's a brand new product, so I can't know. So you ask them number one, they don't know. Number two is don't tell. You ask them, but they'll simply don't answer. The biggest problem, of course, is misleading. In misleading is you ask them a question, but they don't tell the truth. They tell what is socially acceptable. They will tell what is convenient. They'll tell only what is appropriate. They'll tell the right thing. They'll tell only the thing which will please you as opposed to tell the truth. Okay? So there are some basic problems, and occasionally doing it right could be expensive. So don't tell. So they don't know. This is don't tell is they're unwilling. They're not willing to work. They're not willing to cooperate. They're not just going to tell you. Because a lot of things are socially alike, especially, sometimes it could be like smoking, okay? Smoking is still legal, but it's not really socially acceptable, especially for women. Right? So, you smoke sometimes, so they just won't tell the truth. They may feel embarrassed about telling the truth, okay? So, surveys usually, they're good, they're very good. You need to understand that they have problems. Well, all techniques and all methods have problems. You simply need to understand what their weaknesses are. All right. Let's see what else we have. Number 2, observational research. Yes.
What do you mean by expensive?
Again?
What's the meaning of expensive?
Expensive?
Yeah.
Expensive means it costs a lot of money. To ask people, you need to have surveyors. You need to have little forms. You need to find ways. These people have to go. They have to meet consumers. Maybe meet them in the mall. Maybe on the website. In other words, getting the survey and getting consumer responses is not cheap. It usually takes a lot of planning, because when you make the survey has to be representative. If it's product used by many people, you have to be representative of children, as well as middle age, as well as old age. It's got to be representative of men and women. But it also, in this environment, it's got to be representative of different cultures and of different religions. So you need to be very careful of how you survey. But for example, you make your survey in front of Fatima. Is that going to be a good survey?
No.
Oh, she already knows. Of course not. Why? What's the problem?
I will answer as huge, not as mine. I won't tell all the...
No, if it's in front of Fatima, 95% of the people, respondents there will be Indians, right? They will not be representative of Europeans, or, do you shop there a lot? No, not really, correct. It won't be representative of Emiratis, it won't be representative of Filipinos, few Egyptians probably shop there. In other words, it is not representative, okay? Oh, by the same token, you try to make a survey in or at or in front of Mall of Dubai. Is it representative? Most people will not be. Most Emiratis may shop there, but most of the Filipinos won't, and most of the Egyptians won't. And in other words, most of the low-income people will not be shopping there. Okay, it will represent the upper end, the higher end. It will misrepresent, or we say underrepresent, the lower end.
And they will go there even if they want to shop. They will be there.
Well,
So-
I'm saying is, when you do these surveys, you have to be careful to be relatively representative, okay, of the whole sample, okay? So, that's number one. Number two is called consumer clinic. In a consumer clinic, is a little bit more realistic. You actually get them in the shop, and in the real shop, and you can actually watch them how they shop, okay? So you simulate the shop, it could be a room, it could be a supermarket, you let them walk through and they just do their thing. But here's the thing, they get to keep the goods. Whatever their choices are, they get to keep it. So sometimes you tell them like this, look, we are doing an experiment, whatever it is, and you pay 200 to act in the experiment. We'll give you 800 more. So with your 200, you get 1,000. You can shop anything you want up to 1,000, and you take it for you. It's yours. It could be perfume, it could be powder, meaning laundry powder, clothes, shoes, whatever. You know, the store is yours, okay? And you watch them. Of course, it could be in one side will be laundry, in another side will be cosmetics, and a third, and just see what it is. In other words, this is number one, more realistic. That's the big one. This is a lot more realistic. However, nevertheless, it's still artificial.
And expensive.
Yes, very true. Expensive. And let's say if it's in some other place like in the West or maybe in Japan, the consumer might want to load up on beer or whiskey, but he'd feel ashamed because he knows that he's being watched, and he will not take the whiskey, okay? Because it's not socially acceptable, okay? Because he knows that he's being watched, and he may think that he's being judged by what he's choosing, okay? Same thing, if it's artificial, he could choose what he thinks is healthier food, but in a realistic situation, he'll go and buy junk food, okay? Just because he knows he is watched, he may avoid certain products, okay? And he may choose certain products that are more socially acceptable. Nevertheless, it's of course more expensive, it's still a lot more realistic. And the environment is significantly more realistic. And of course, as always, it's overall very useful. Overall, very useful. Consumer clinic. Okay, well here, let me see, a little bit sort, let's try. I already did it before, I explained it 2 lectures ago. Observational research is you simply watch them. You watch people. You observe what they do. Here is one great example of how you watch people. Let me show how they watch me and you. Right here, what is this?
Barcode.
Hmm?
The card.
It's a sapphire card, okay? So, they always promise you bonus point, discount, whatever it is. So every time you go in, they scan your card. Well, how did I get the card?
From there.
Right, but they didn't just give it like that. What did they take in return?
Your information.
Yes, they took in return my information. Now, they know how old I am, they know how bold I am, they know my phone number, they know my age, they know my religion, they know sufficient information. And now they know everything I buy. They know I buy a lot of tomatoes and cucumbers and onions and what kinds of meats and olives, and they know the soaps that I buy. So this is one way of observational research. Of course, you can just put in a camera in front of the shelves and see, do they walk, do they don't walk, do they stop, do they don't stop, do they look, do they don't look. Especially when they have little kids, when the little kids are running around, where they're going to stop, they say, oh, the kids stop here, but they didn't stop there, okay? So you can observe in 100 different ways, but the biggest way to observe is a scanner, the product scanner at the supermarket. Now, this observational research is great. It works wonders. In many ways, it's cheap and perfect. But the big problem is new products. You can observe everything you want about an existing product, but you can't observe anything about a new product because the product doesn't exist. Now, you can ask the consumer, if the product is new, the only way to do it is a question. You gotta ask them, well, if we offer you this new product, would you take it? So, with new product, you cannot make an observational research. It's impossible. And also, it's very difficult when you have or intend changing quality. Maybe you make chocolates and you make the chocolate different type, different taste, different flavor. Example, chocolates have and put inside little nuts or fruits, nuts like almonds or sliced dates or sliced whatever. If the product is changing as a type or as a product, you can't possibly observe it. Meaning, you can observe it only if the product is there, if it's on the shelf, if the consumer is aware about it, okay? And then you can see what happens, okay? So, changing quality is posing a problem. And also, you cannot see consumer expectations. Again, observational research shows you actions, but not expectations. You see what I'm doing, but you can't see what I'm planning to do, okay? Also, observational research does not work for rare purchases. I just mentioned, they can observe me 1 million times, but I'm buying one in 5 years of computer. I mean, they can't observe my computer shopping. Sure, in Saphir, they observe my vegetable shopping every week, twice a week. They know the fruits that I eat, okay? But I don't know anything about my computer shopping. In other words, if I make shopping rarely, you can't really see. It's just too hard. It's impossible to see, okay? Expectations is almost like planning. airline knows, for example, if I'm flying the same Emirates Air, and they see me 3 times flying to Bulgaria, well, I'm flying there because I'm just going home and coming back. But they can't possibly know if I'm planning to fly to the Philippines or fly to Thailand or fly to, I don't know, some third country. They can't possibly know what's in my mind. Now, who knows what's in my mind or in your mind? Who knows? Google. Google knows. That's the next big step, and it's coming. I'll talk about it a little bit. Artificial intelligence. All right, let's see.